But even a clicker's hands would seem small beer compared with Nina Taylor's. Hers are insured for more than 10 grand per finger, for she's not just a hand model, but actually it's 100 grand per finger, isn't it?
I haven't worked out the maths, to be honest with you. I was just trying to work it out, but it's I know it's
a serious amount of money.
Yeah.
Because Nina is not just a hand model, she's a super hand model. To the metacarpal what Kate Moss is to the cheekbone. In fact, she is Kate Moss's metacarpal.
I like that.
Her hand and foot double. So when you think you're looking at Kate's or Christie's or Demi's or Trini's or even Susanna's, you're probably looking at Nina's. She joins us now. Very good morning, Nina.
Good morning.
How did it all begin?
Well, gosh, it seems like such a long time ago now. It's about 10 years ago. And I was actually at college doing my A-levels, and my cousin suggested to me about hand modelling. She complimented me on my fingers and on my nails and said, Nina, you should do this hand modelling. Of course, I didn't have a clue what hand modelling was. I didn't think that it was a job, let alone even a career. So I did nothing at that stage. It was only when she told me repeatedly and said, listen, you really should pursue this, that I did. And, so I came across the top agency for hands at the time and
What did you look at the
yellow?
Do you sort of dial 1-800 hand models or something?
Well, obviously, I mean, these days you'd get on the internet, wouldn't you? But back then, I actually had something called the AMA list, which is the Association of Model Agencies. And it was just a list that I had that was circulating at school that the girls had. And we sort of, thinking about maybe being a model. Of course, never pursuing it because it would be just, a dream or whatever. So anyway, I had this list and I thought, well, I'll have a look at that. And about fourth down the list, I came across the specialist agency. So...
And do you remember your first job?
I do remember my first job. Yes, it does stick in my mind very well. It was actually a TV commercial as opposed to a stills job. You would normally do a photo shoot first. It's a smaller crew. But it was a TV commercial shooting at Shepperton Studios. I was so excited. And it was for Pampers. Yeah, Pampers, nappies, yeah. And it was a very interesting time. Yeah.
I mean, it's I suppose a model's face tends to be associated with sort of prestige products, but again, if it's hand, you could be doing Rolex or Domestos or Pampers or anything.
Well, that's the key, exactly, and that is, I think that's the key to being a successful hand model or even body parts model, is that your agent isn't going to market you towards, say, high fashion like you would with a general model or catalogue stuff or whatever. So you can be doing, like myself, I can do Domestos one day and I can do Dolce & Gabbana the next, and that's the beauty of it.
And it conjures up this extraordinary image. I know that sometimes the face we see might not belong to the hands we see, and that sort of out of frame, you're, I don't know, sort of lying down on the floor, sticking your hands on Kate Moss's face.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
I don't quite know, actually, to be honest with you. You'd be surprised. I always think to myself in those situations, if people could actually see, when they see the finished article, if they could actually see the full picture of being on set, seeing what that's like, it's quite extraordinary. So obviously, when I come in and I'm... put my hand on somebody's face and pretend, you have to get the right angle as well and make it look like it's their arm and not look a bit weird. And also interestingly, you have to think about, often I find myself in a harness, elevated, so that my hand appears from the top of the shot, because you have to remember it's the hand that they want, not the rest of the body. So, but your hand is attached to your body, so what do you do with it,
And do particular faces ask for your hands, if you see what I mean? I know that you do, Kate.
Do they request me?
Yes, yes. Does Kate say, I'm sorry, I don't get out of bed for less than 10 grand, and Nina Taylor?
I'd like to say yes, actually. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm quite... prolific in the industry anyway, so I do find myself working with these people regularly. So it's a matter of they don't really request me, but when I see them on set again, we say good morning, and they're always... Actually, Kate was reported to say, she did tell my manicure, she said, I'm very happy that I've got Nina as my hand double. Yeah, so she was pleased with me, so that's all right in my book.
And do your hands get their own Winnebago on a big shoot?
What, just my hands,
just
not the
hands.
rest of me? Oh, I get treated very well, so, I can't complain.
I guess in a way you have more opportunity to earn than lots of other models, because your hands can you know, can do all sorts of products, as you say, Domestos or Dolce & Gabbana.
Well, again, everything has its pluses and minuses. The thing, obviously, with hands is that deemed as unrecognisable. So, whereas a general model or an actress in a TV commercial would be paid royalties or repeat fees as well as their standard fee when it's shown again and again, I don't. But the beauty of that at the other end of the spectrum is that there's no conflict of interest. So, for instance, I can do all the supermarket adverts and nobody would really know, and it just means I can do more work.
So your fingers can do a lot of walking, as it were?
Yes, so to speak, yeah.
And presumably it means that you've got to keep your hands and indeed your feet, which are also part of your portfolio, in tip-top condition.
Yeah, I mean, that is essential, really, because the reason I get booked as well is, and the way I get paid the way I do, is clients and advertising people that they have the guarantee that when I turn up to a shoot, everything is in tip-top condition. You know, there's not going to be any issues, especially when you've got a camera lens really, really close in and really tight. You don't want to have to be dealing with getting manicurists in to correct certain imperfections. That's not what that's all about. And anyway, that's my responsibility.
Does this mean that you're not likely to be found digging a field of swede?
As much as that's one of my ambitions, I have to say it's one of the clauses in my contract that I can't do that. So as well as many other things. So I have to obviously make some sacrifices, but no, it's just not really a big deal to me.
A restaurant kitchen is not the sort of environment, Angela, I guess, where hand models might feel
I'm looking at my
at home.
hands with embarrassment, because Nina's got absolutely beautiful hands, and no, you wouldn't. I mean, scratches,
Your hands aren't that bad, though.
It's not so bad, yes, no. But
she's so grand now, Nina. She doesn't have to pick up a knife anymore.
Okay,
she just commands it.
Someone does my chopping for me. Yes, yeah, exactly.
But I felt actually that wound you can see on my hand was caused by your grandmother's onions, because I was getting them out of the oven and I burned my hand on the rack.
So just blame me for everything.
I'm
on
blaming
this
you
show.
for that.
Okay, fantastic.
But that would obviously, that sort of thing, just a scar on the fingers would be a no-no.
I mean, there's so many hazards, obvious things like that, like cutting and chopping, which I actually have to do in TV commercials a lot of the time as well, which can be quite scary. But it can be anything. I mean, literally just reaching into your handbag, you can get caught on the zip of the bag, or doing up a button or whatever. It can be quite tricky. But I wear my nails quite short. I have a very deep nail bed, which means it's the fleshy part, the pink part of the nail, so which is a requirement as a hand model. It also means that you're not going to break your nails that easily.
So nature as well as nurture, you've been fortunate.
Yes, I was listening to that earlier actually and thinking about, I think it's a bit of the two actually mixed together. So you're born with certain features, as you were saying earlier about Kate Moss and her cheekbones, but also another part of it is the kind of moulding and maintaining as well.
And in an era of sort of digitisation and photoshopping, does that make your life easier or harder, Nina?
Well, I mean, that is something that's very, very prominent. I would say the post-production process is almost as major as the production process. And I do find myself on shoots many times where we'll be in discussions, we'll say, oh, actually, there's a blemish in the polish there. Shall we redo it? Do we have time? Or should we just zap it out in post? And often enough, it will be the latter. So I think it can make you lazy, actually, if I'm honest with you.
And how long is a hand model's and a foot model's career? Can you go on longer than others?
Well, I don't think you're obviously not going to be a slave to fashion and trends in that sense, like a general model would be, maybe, who is high fashion or whatever. So as long as your hands are in good nick, you can go on. I mean, the other hand models have been working well into their 40s. So I don't know if I'm going to be going on that long. I've got lots of sort of different ideas and plans that I'd like to pursue, all linked with hands, obviously, but we shall see.
And can you sort of get better at it? I mean, do you sort of practice? Do you get, sort of knowing how to make your hands?
It's a really good point that you make there, because so many people ask me about the beautification of the hands and all of that. But a major part of what I do, especially on TV commercials, where you've got directors and different actions to do, it comes from, well, the skill of being able to hold your hands still and being able to create the look that they want. So that comes from experience as well. A lot of the time these days, I'll find myself on set where the director or photographer will say, oh, Nina, can you just, and he'll start his sentence and I'll do it. And then he'll say, oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, you know. So there's a kind of language almost.
And paint a picture for us of your bathroom cabinet. Is it absolutely full of hand cream?
Bathroom cabinet? Are you kidding me? That wouldn't even fill all the products. I have this thing, this kind of massive drawer thing that's under my bed that I pull out, which is completely covered. It must be 2 meters long or something, and it's absolutely filled with products. It's the only place I can store it all. People send me all this stuff. I actually endorse a British nail care brand as well. Yeah, I've got lots of lotions and potions.
Nina Taylor, thanks very much.
Thank you.